Hello everyone, AxeScript here, and today we're going to be looking at the NECA Classic 1954 Godzilla movie poster version. This released back in July of 2019 and got a second re-release earlier this year back in February. This retails for about $27 to $30 US depending on your retailer. It comes with one figure, one accessory, and a collector's friendly box. So first let's look at the packaging. So here is the packaging. It's a lot more thicker than your typical NECA Godzilla figure. Here I have my Godzilla vs. King Kong figure right here, the packaging. And as you can see, the box is a lot more bigger, like I said, comparing them side by side. So yep, anyway, I like the pink color that they went for with the box. Very reminiscent of the pink color that was in the classic poster. And on the side, you just have Godzilla, King of the Monsters logo, and that's also on the top. And then on the back, you do have some photos of the figure. I don't think it provides that good of a look, but then again, you do have this collector-friendly flap opening where you can look at the figure. I do like how they put, like, very old school, like, savage action, spectacular thrills, dynamic violence. I do like how they put that wording. And of course, you have a typical description of the movie, and on the inside of the box, of course, like I said, there is a flap opening, and then it's just stuck by these two adhesives. Right here on the side, you do have the poster, this time with the figure, and then you have where the figure would usually be right here in the box. And of course, you can put your figure right here in the box to create what they basically did right here. But overall, I do like this packaging. I just don't understand why it is a bit bigger compared to other fake Godzilla figures. But I just love the pink color that they went for. It's really nice, and this is probably my favorite packaging that they have from other Godzilla figures. But other than the packaging, let's take a look at the figure. So here is the Godzilla figure. Typical with your NECA Ultimate Edition figures, they measure about 7 inches. And this figure is no different. He is a bit shorter than 7 inches, but that's fine. And then one thing that I wanted to point out is that his tail comes in 2 separate pieces. So you do get instructions on how to assemble it. It just says to dip in hot water for 20 seconds and then it's just snapped back in. Personally, I don't find this to be good. I use a hair dryer and I just use it on the tail part and then just stick it on the other end of the tail. That is much more effective, I found, in the water. But let's take a look at the figure first, starting at the head. Very nice head sculpt. I think that as you can see here, the neck and head are just one piece, so that's very nice. One thing that I do like the detail that they even put gray coloring for the shading on the teeth. So like some of his teeth are white, as you can see there, and then his other teeth are gray, very reminiscent of the poster. And then it is stuck on a ball joint, so you can just rotate the head a full 360 degrees. Along with the neck, you can just turn it 360 degrees. So it looks a bit silly right there. But other than that, moving down, we do have his body torso, which can turn not slightly, but a lot to the right. You can even turn it all the way. Turns all the way to the right and turns all the way to the left. And then you can't really move it back or forward, just a bit, mostly back, but that's about it. And then let's talk about the back, because I really do like it. So for the scales, his scales up here, they use red and they also use pink, and I love the way that turned out. I think that on the poster, his scales do appear to be a bit more orange more than pink, but I still like how they went with the pink color, because personally I think orange would look a bit silly. But just great, all of this down, so that's amazing. And then one thing I do complain about is that the tail. So the tail is a separate piece, like I said, right here. So his tail is actually in 2 parts. You have the beginning of the tail joint right here, which is a ball joint. So you can, of course, turn it like that, 360 degrees, and go up and down a bit. And then he has his middle part of the tail right here, 2 parts actually. Both are connected to ball joints, so they move very easily. But the worst part about this figure, what I believe, is that his end tail, which is a separate piece that you have to connect. I think that this is very weakly made and poorly made compared to other tail parts for NECA figures. So there are no joints, so it's just one solid piece. And then on top of that, the red doesn't really go, as you can see right there, it's more red. There's like no pink at all compared to the rest of the tail. So just like a bit off comparing it with all that pink, and then you just have all red. It's just a bit weird. Then on top of that, he does look a bit weird with the tail. I think they could have made it just a bit smaller of the tail, because it just looks like it's just slapped on there. I don't really like the tail that much. But his tail, as I said, is one solid piece. But one thing that I found out while trying to install the tail is, I don't recommend this, but if you want to do that, you can do it. So you can kind of bend the tail a little, but they don't recommend that. I don't recommend it because it feels like it can break any minute, but I do somewhat bend it because it's easily bendable. But of course, like I said, it can easily break. Moving on away from the tail into his hands are in 4 separate pieces. So you have the upper hand, which you can move, which you can't turn all that well, but you can move it back and forth like that. And then you have his forearm right here, which you can move up, you can use down, then you can swivel it a full 360 degrees. And then you have his hand, which one thing I do like is that his hand and fingers are a separate piece. So you can kind of just close his hands like that right there. Then his hands do have nice shading. They kind of use the light green, and they can use dark green, and then they also use the black. That's one thing I also love about this figure, just the shading in general, the coloring. I think they did a phenomenal job with all the coloring. As you can see here, you have dark green, light green, and then you have the black. It's just great coloring. And then on the back and the front, it's mostly black, but you do have green as well. I think it just looks very nice and this figure in general just looks absolutely beautiful. Moving on. So yeah, like I said, his hands are on a ball joint, so they move a full 360 degrees. You can move them up and you can move them down. Same thing applies to this hand. Now for his legs, they can swivel a full 360 degrees as well. And his feet are in 3 pieces. So you have the top of the foot, and then you have around his knee, which you can just put up and down. That's about it. There's no movement. Then he has his feet, and something that looked a bit off to me, but I found this actually in the figure, is that his feet do have green as well. I thought that was just like a missed paint job, and they just scrapped the green on. They just scratched the feet on something that was green, but no, it actually looks like that. I just think it looks a bit off, but it's fine. It doesn't really bother me that much. Same thing applies to his feet. So you can move his feet a lot for a lot of posability, like that. Looks like you're doing a karate chop. So I do like the posability as well. But overall, now he just messed up his feet. Now it looks like his feet are inward. But there you go. Let me just rest his foot. Now he won't stand straight. There we go. So there is the figure. Now he does come with one accessory. This is his dragon breath, or his atomic breath, I guess you can say, from the poster. It just is just one solid piece. There is nothing, but I do like the detail that they applied to it, how it kind of starts off yellow and then it gets orange. I do like that. And to assemble it, you just open his mouth, and then you look for this piece, you insert it correctly, and then it sticks on very well. And there you go. He has his atomic breath. But one thing I don't like is that how there's so much weight on the atomic breath that his head just falls off. I would have liked if there was some support like that, where it just stayed like that and not fall down. But overall, I think that this is an absolutely amazing figure. So let's go on to the final verdict. In conclusion, I think that this is an absolutely fantastic figure. I own about 3 NECA Godzilla figures, and this has to be my favorite one. I would prefer this version, over the original 1954 figure with the gray coloring. I would prefer this one, just because of how well they did the paint job with all the mixtures of green shading. And then the packaging as well, I just think it has a lot more life and color compared to the other packaging. And then the accessory that you get, although it does have its faults, I think it is a nice accessory. And it's nice that NECA actually put the atomic breath, because if you know, what NECA tends to do is release a Godzilla figure and then re-release it, this time with more coloring and then with an atomic breath piece. But for $26 to $30, I think that you're getting an absolutely fantastic deal. This figure is really detailed as with other NECA figures, and the box is just absolutely incredible. It is a somewhat bit hard to find now, but I'm pretty sure they are going to re-release it. I got mine at Target. That is probably your safest bet to get one. If not, I will include links in the description below for other places that you can get it. But I will give this figure an A. The only problems that I do have with it are, as I said, the tail and just how cheaply made it feels, and just how the coloring does look a bit off. That's just my biggest complaint. But everything else in this figure is absolutely perfect, and I would highly recommend getting this if you are a fan of Godzilla and are looking to collect more figures. So overall, that's going to be it for the review. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please leave some constructive criticism in the comments below, and make sure to leave a like. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next review. Goodbye. Just a quick side segment here. So I do have this book that I got, collecting Japanese movie monsters. I got this last year, but it is very dated. This is from 1999, and when I was looking at the pages, I found that there is the classic movie poster, the US version, and that goes for around $1,000 to $2,500 US dollars. So you can just imagine how much that would be worth now, since this was literally 21 years ago, and plus with the release of Godzilla King of the Monsters, how rare and more expensive the poster would be. And then on top of that, I do have this VHS from 1992 of the original Godzilla King of the Monsters. The poster that you see here, the box art, is very different from the poster. But yeah, that's about it. Just a quick side segment that I wanted to show.